Hey, good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack here. Wednesday now, the 24th of September, 2025. Now look, I know I said I was going to have a video for you this morning, but I wanted to wait and see what the overnight models showed, thinking maybe we'd get some clarity. I was wrong, so I thought, all right, we'll wait and see what the morning models show, and maybe by the time we get to the afternoon here, there will be even more clarity, and I was wrong again. Things are absolutely bizarre out there. In fact, just in the moments that I was getting ready to hit that button on the keyboard here to start recording, we now have Tropical Storm Humberto. The Hurricane Center will begin advisories at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm recording this video at a little after 4 and a quarter, whatever. Yeah, it is very weird, and it's going to get weirder, stranger from here. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves. We might be dealing with this situation for a week or more. Absolutely. So we're going to end September, get into October with a very strange situation on our hands. So let's see what we got. Let's start with the National Hurricane Center. There it is. There's the special message, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be Humberto. And we're going to get our first forecast track map from it, so that'll be interesting to see. First, though, let's talk about Gabrielle. It is going to impact the Azores, and that is important. I want to point that out. Hurricane warnings are in effect for the Azores, and then this will eventually, as a post-tropical system, move into the Iberian Peninsula, and some of that leftover energy might even make it back down into northwest Africa, because this is where the tropical wave energy came from, was the tropical part of Africa many days ago. How about that for a nice ending to that story? But seriously, this will pass through the Azores with some rather problematic hazards, and people there need to be ready for that. So I want to make sure we address that first and foremost. Ace-wise, this number is getting ready to really start to go up. We're at 53 today, and with what's coming over the next week to 10 days, maybe, just maybe, we start to climb above climo here, climatology. We'll see. We're a little bit behind still, but we're quickly starting to catch up. All right, on with it. So we now know that this will be officially Humberto, the H storm, at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. This still invest area 94L, and if it gets named later on somewhere in this area, that would be the I storm, Imelda. And then up here, of course, is Gabrielle, and a little bit of a bump right there near the eye, towering little area of convection. And that is headed for the Azores over here. And that'll be quite a formidable system. Going to be interesting to see the reports that come out from that region in the coming days. So here are the VORT signatures. There is Humberto. This is 94L. Now this is really interesting because it's tucked away down here, tangled up in and around Puerto Rico and vicinity. That VORT max is not on the north side up here. So does this continue to jog along, tangling up with Hispaniola, and maybe stay more south and west, eventually making it to the Gulf? And I say that, look, I don't want to, some of the ensemble members show that. And that, I mean, it's been south of everything so far, so this is a non-zero chance, right? This is something we cannot rule out, that this just ends up maybe in the Florida Straits or whatever, but some way that this could get into the Gulf, we shall see. More than likely, though, this ends up on the north side of the islands eventually, and starts to develop somewhere here in the Bahamas. But we got to see what's going on with Humberto as it moves in this general direction in the coming days as well. So a very complex forecast coming up. And to that end, here's what it looks like on the GFS. And this is truly comical. I'm going to take this out to a week and point out what's what. There's Humberto, there's 94L, and this is what it looked like at 8 o'clock this morning. And as we move this through time, Humberto strengthens, becomes a hurricane more than likely, and by 96 hours, not much is happening here with our 94L, and that's where I want to leave it for just a moment, because I want to get back over here to the Euro, and you notice these maps are identical, except they are different models, right? So this is the ECMWF, this is the initial, this is 24, 48, and 72, and this was at 96. So let's take this to 96. So here are the differences. Very similar with Humberto. So let me circle Humberto in the Euro, and we look back at it at the GFS. Very similar. but vastly different with 94L. It's more west and more amplified in the Euro than we see in the GFS. And this is very, very important because the closer they are and the less organized 94 is, the more likely that Humberto would just kind of pivot that energy around and absorb it. Now, that doesn't mean that Humberto would become stronger. This is not food that it is ingesting. People have emailed me over the years asking about that. What if one absorbs the other? Then does the survivor become an even bigger hurricane? It doesn't work exactly like that. It's the two of them don't have to compete for the same energy, put it that way. But it is not like the 94L is a Snickers bar and Humberto eats it and, it gets stronger or whatever, big protein bar. You get the analogy, right? Doesn't quite work that way, but there would be less stuff out there competing for the available heat budget, if you will, in the Atlantic. So the Euro is more formidable with 94L than the GFS. So let's look at the GFS, run this on out to day 5. Day 6, it does exactly that. Shreds this out, and it gets pretty much strung out, and the energy, some of it gets absorbed, but it's pretty much just gone. And speaking of gone, so is Humberto by day 7, leaving a pretty good trail of roadkill-looking stuff from 94L. Probably a lot of moisture for Bermuda over here in this scenario. But is that what is going to happen? Don't know. Have no idea. I'm being straight up with you. I don't know how this is going to end at all. I'm just showing you the exact same stuff I would look at, even without you fine people watching this video. So the Euro is a little different by day 5. Humberto really starts to strengthen well south and west of Bermuda right there. And then at day 6 and day 7, you think, oh, it's out of here. Now look, showing you beyond day 7 is pointless because it's just, there's so much chaos. It's crazy. Already crazy enough as it is. There's no reason to even worry about what might happen beyond day 7. And since the tropical guidance from the Hurricane Center on the outlooks goes out to day 7, that's where I end it. You are more than welcome to look at any models you want, to any time frame you want. You don't even need my permission. I'm just saying, do so with the understanding that you think this is crazy. Wait until you see what happens farther down the road or further down the road, whatever the frickin' term is, right? Bottom line, this is going to be a very interesting week or more, and I have no clue how this all comes to an end. That is how crazy this is. I can't recall that we've ever seen anything close to this. Not in the Southwest Atlantic. We had Laura and Marco back in 2020, but that was a little bit more straightforward. This is truly like, what? Anyway, Recon will be all over it. I love posts like this. They're going to be, look at that, the plan, look at that schedule there. Wow. All kinds of stuff from low-level invest. Let me highlight what's what here. Low-level invest to, there it is, G. Synoptic surveillance from the G4 and tail Doppler radar. All kinds of amazing synoptic surveillance there. Again, really, really good stuff from the Hurricane Hunters and from the Air Force Reserves, as well as from NOAA. They will be doing stuff as well with their P3s and their Gulfstream 4s. A very busy time coming up so that we can stay ahead of everything that is coming. Now, real quick before I let you go, coming up on the 1-year anniversary. It's always the anniversary of something this time of year, isn't it? 20 years ago, it was Rita. Probably should have had something set up here for Rita. And I will tell you, at least you can go search for Tracking the Hurricanes 2005 and Hurricane Rita and Wilma, an excellent ending part of that documentary series way back 20 years ago. That is on our YouTube. It's in a playlist, so you should be able to find it. But coming up just now a year ago was Helene, and this is what things were looking like 1 year ago today by about a couple of hours, right? Helene was at 50 miles per hour, and we all know how it would turn out. So on Friday, I'm going to obviously be talking about the current situation in the tropics, but I want to go back and look at some of the stuff that we did during Helene and some of the advancements that were made. And, in the years since, we have learned a lot from that event, and I want to showcase some of it for you on Friday. So during the update on Friday, it'll be a little longer at the end, once we get through the Humberto Imelda shenanigans, Imelda to be, presumably, right? I do want to take a look back at Helene from our work in Florida and then the impact that it had in western North Carolina, and just kind of remind people these systems don't just stop at the coast. And Helene will forever be the poster child for that, I do believe. All right? So there you go. A very strange situation unfolding here. We now, at least at the top of the hour coming up, by the time this video gets out there to everybody, it will be around 5 p.m. Eastern, and we will have Humberto, and then we will see what happens with the next system as this situation starts to get stranger and stranger as we go forward. So, tomorrow morning, I will do my best to get in, as long as stuff doesn't get more strange. We'll do a video in the morning, and you never know, might even do another one tomorrow afternoon, because this is starting to get pretty darn important, and we want to stay on top of it as best we can for you, all right? All right, have a good rest of your Wednesday. As always, thanks for tuning in from all of us at HurricaneTrack. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll see you again tomorrow.